Yeah. I'm alive. I'm back. It's been a couple weeks. I got really busy. I did some traveling. And now I'm back in the thick of it with Thesis. The direction of the project is still the same, but the actual end result, like the general idea for that, has grown. I started out with just doing a mobile app. I did a Google Venture style sprint and came up with a pretty solid prototype at the end and tested it, and I got some really good feedback in that testing that led me down the path of doing a multimodal connected experience. Obviously that's my bias. If you've seen my portfolio, most of my work, or at least the place I've planted my flag, has been that sort of work, that multimodal connected experience type stuff. Like I said, that's kind of my bias, but I've moved in that direction with this project. So I picked up this Generation 1 Apple Watch from a friend of mine. So I'm going to be building a Apple Watch component to this, as well as a voice skill component. And the reason for that, my rationale for that is thinking about context for the user and how they consume news. People aren't just consuming news on their phone. They consume it in many different places. I was going to build a desktop portion of this, but due to the time constraints of the project, I don't think I have time to actually do that well. But regardless, in the user testing that I did for the first round, one of the people suggested having an Apple Watch component, because they said it'd be really nice to be able to get a notification on my watch when I share something that's maybe disputed. So that is how that came about. So the mobile app portion has changed a little bit to be not just a reactionary measure where it notifies you. That's still a thing, but there's also a proactive measure. When you go to share something or perform an action on your iPhone, and it has that little action pane that shows different apps you can share through, like Instagram and Twitter and stuff like that. If you've ever used Pocket has one of those little squares, and you can tag links and such, and put them into different categories with that sharing thing. So the idea is to have something that's like that for this app, so you can share a story you're reading anywhere on the web, not just on Facebook, not just on Twitter. You can share it through this sort of filter, this sort of pane that tells you whether that story is worth sharing elsewhere or not. So the whole idea is mitigating sharing fake news, and also to inform the user whether they're consuming high quality news or not. The recommendations you get after sharing something also have an option to add to a reading list, and the Alexa skill can read that reading list off to you. And there's also, on the app, a section where you can read the reading list. So it's grown in scale and scope, but the general idea is still the same. So I think that I'm in a spot where I'm solving the problem effectively and creating something that's going to be really good for my portfolio and feel good walking away. Okay, so beyond Thesis updates, which is all going great, I spent a weekend in New York. I was flown out by a company to interview, and that was a super good experience. Had a lot of fun walking around looking at architecture and stuff like that. I'm a pretty big design history nerd, so most of what I did on that Saturday was just free looking up at buildings and taking pictures. So that was really fun, a really good time. I have some cool news to share. So I accepted a job. I am halfway through spring break right now. It's Wednesday. I have a bunch of user tests scheduled tomorrow, and then I'm finishing up my installation proposal for the actual presentation of the project, and then I'm writing my process book right now and wrapping all that kind of stuff up. It's been an interesting process so far. After my trip to New York, I got pretty sick, and then just dealing with all that kind of stuff, I was a little bit behind. I'm catching up now, at least behind on my own schedule because we kind of set our own. But either way, I'm catching up now. So basically on the final stretch right now, feeling pretty good. So I have officially accepted a job, and I'm gonna start June 4th. So I graduate May 12th, and then I got like a couple weeks, and then I'm starting a new job. So I'll give you more detail on that soon. I don't wanna say too much too early, but either way, I do have a job lined up. It's really exciting, and it will require me to relocate to New York. So it's pretty wild. I mean, it's signed for, so it's real, but it doesn't necessarily feel 100% real yet. But it's getting there. Yeah. So first vlog in a while. Kind of fell off the bandwagon with this. I just got real busy and life got crazy. But I'm back. I'm gonna finish out the semester doing these. I'm gonna start live streaming because I'm kind of in the production phase of Thesis. So I'll be live streaming some of the process as I go. Yeah. Stoked to be back. Just a quick little video